What?
Yeah, there you go. So I thought we'd do a little piece called Keir Starmer, English Patriot. You know, I love to talk about Starmer. Weirdly, I was talking about him last time I was here. That's just coincidence. It's not just that I love Starmer. But he says, Labour is now the true... I can't do his voice, but I'd love to do it. But he says, Labour is now the true party of English patriotism. I know you didn't see that one coming.
No.
But, where have you been, Carl? Didn't you realise Starmer was a patriot now?
I kept watching the Labour Party conferences.
That must have been it. But look at the flag.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Hi folks, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just want to direct your attention to the aesthetics range of merch that we have on the store. These are beautiful images that I think work really well as posters or mugs. So if you want to support us, going over to the merch store at shop.lotus.com is easily the best way other than signing up on the website.
Anyway, so he says, there are many moments in my life when I felt great pride and gratitude to be English, being the first person in my working class family to go to university, belting out 3 lines in the crowd at Wembley in 1996, not 66, not that old, finally reaching the peak of Scarfell Pike, reference to the lakes, and with his severely ill mother. So, you know, touching moment, that's all great. But then he says, and defending people facing the death penalty in other countries who look at our dedication to the rule of law with admiration. How did that one creep in there? Like, I'm struggling to see how that makes him a patriot.
Especially as if you actually poll the British public, particularly the English, you find that most of them want the death penalty.
Yes, you do, for especially for child murders, serial murders, and multiple murders.
Yeah, if you just, I did a bit of research into this. If you just ask people, should we bring back the death penalty? Half of them are like, oh yeah. And then if you're like, should we bring back the death penalty for terrorists and child murderers? And like, absolutely goes up to like 65%.
Yes.
But, yeah.
As you point out to me, it was only abolished due to the sort of radical activists,
communists in the Labour
Sidney
Party.
Silverman, these type of people, leftists. It was only in the 60s. People now talk about it like it's always been the case. They, of course, I'm not for the death penalty. Even alleged conservatives. It's like, why? Why are you some sort of radical leftist?
Well, it's why the Moors murderers didn't get executed.
Right.
You know, like they're actually evil people who should have been killed, but weren't.
Yeah. And this is a funny bit. He's saying, so yeah, I've been stopping the death penalty in other countries, you know, and defending these people around the world. Then you go, the people. Guess who it is? Yep, it's baby killers and axe murderers. So I raised this last time when I talked about euthanasia, but I thought we'd revisit it in this new context. Starmer takes great pride in going around the world, helping the worst people on earth. And this, in this new context, also makes him a patriot. No one knows why. So,
patriot for what?
The very tenuous link is that it's
the child murder party,
our English values that he's taking around the world. But as you pointed out,
an axe killer who slaughtered his girlfriend in front of her children, and Keir Starmer's like, yes, that's right.
You've not even read the worst one. The Malawian murderer who tied up his 2-year-old stepson before burying him alive. I know.
Jesus.
I know. It's sick stuff. These are the people Starmer is letting off with his death penalty project. This is what he's proud of.
Okay, so you've got a choice here, people. You've got Starmer's save the baby murderer, patriotism, or my hang the baby murderer, patriotism. You make your choice.
Right. This is insane. I mean, I thought, and the fact that last time I thought about the fact that he wants to bring in assisted dying, i.e. euthanasia, but he's pro killing people, but not ones who've murdered people and buried their stepson alive. People. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those are his values. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But what's even more insane is he's now somehow claiming this is patriotism. So patriotism is going to other countries to defend unspeakable crimes. It's like a new crusades to Starmer.
I bet none of those thugs were even like, you don't want to murder the baby murderer. Like,
right.
Don't hang the baby. None of them spoke up about it.
Yeah.
That's why Keir Starmer denounced it.
He's it's all right. It's just madness, isn't it? Anyway, but he goes on. And to me, what he's trying to do here is square the impossible circle of being a lefty and a patriot. So he says, I don't know exactly what it is, but he says, and he talks about, and since the Tories have been in power, pride in our flag, indeed pride in our national identity, has become more contentious. Shouting woke doesn't just undermine the proud British tradition of free speech, dissent, and independent thinking. At best, it suggests they don't have faith in the strength of our history, identity, and flag to withstand discussion. Can you scroll and find some of these from a calendar?
I just can't get over the idea of like, oh man, they disagreed with me. They hate free speech.
Yeah, there it is. Shouting woke, go up. So shouting woke doesn't just undermine the proud British tradition of free speech. Why is criticizing woke, which is a movement that wants to shut down free speech, anti-free speech? It's so warped. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Sure, but like the idea that it's since the Tories took power that pride in the flag was diminished. It's like, no, since Blair took power, pride in the flag was diminished. It's very, very evidently the case. And in 2013, like Boris Johnson was trying to do exactly what Keir Starmer's doing. He was like, we need to be proud of being English. Everyone's like, oh, I can't do that. It's 2013, Boris. You know?
Blair did a similar thing of sort of token flag standing next to flag. So Starmer's idea now. He had Cool Britannia. I found out the other day Toby Young was part of that. He told me he was doing a thing for Vanity Fair, and he said, "No, just stand, He's trying to get Blair to stand by the flag and be part of this Cool Britannia thing." I was like, "Toby, what did you create?" And he's like, "I just wanted for a magazine." And apparently Blair's people were saying, "But won't that give credit to John Major? Because all these things are already booming." And it'll give credit to Major. And they're like, "No, people will buy that you've somehow done it."
Yeah.
So that was Toby's fault. But
well done, Toby.
But it doesn't make any. Starmer has the impossible position, doesn't he, of having like obviously his base are woke, but he wants to seem patriotic to gather up the red
he's
wall
trying to get
people
the
as well.
gammons. Yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense at all. That's the problem. I mean, how can you be both? How can shouting woke be anti-patriotic anyway? So that didn't make any sense. Then he does this strange thing where he swaps between English and British suddenly. He says, "I'm proud to be English precisely because it's a place where we can disagree, whether that's a debate in the House of Commons or in the local pub," he's a pub guy, "and still celebrate a common identity, a shared history, and a future together. That's what makes Britain the strong democracy that's the envy of the world." Now, what's strange about that is he talks about this common identity. Well, yeah, English is a common identity, but British isn't really, is it? Especially now anyone can be British. So it's a kind of sleight of hand.
I mean, it never was definitionally. Like at the beginning, English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish.
English also have a shared history, do they? Well, that would mean that those who don't share that history aren't part of the English.
Put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that in a minute.
It's our Patriot special today. It was just very strange that he just he talks about, "I'm proud to be English, we can disagree." And then he goes on to about Britain. The whole title's about England, and it's about the St. George's flag. He has to make it about Britain, strangely.
Just as a quick thing as well. Is there anyone in the audience? Leave me a comment on the webpage that thinks that people around the world envy any aspect of Britain in the modern day. Just what makes Britain a strong democracy, and that's the envy of the world. Can we get some feedback from people around the world? Do you envy Britain at the moment?
Got the nice red buses in London.
Well, they're red and black.
Is that our democratic system?
Can't say anything that makes people proud around the world.
They're not even red. They're not the old red buses. They're like half black now. Like they're sinister.
We don't have
buses.
The phone boxes. No,
we haven't got the phone boxes. And as if people around the world were like, yeah, well, they've got the red phone boxes, so they're winning.
So we go around the world saving axe murderers. That's what makes my heart swell with pride. God save our axe murderers in Uganda.
Where's my St. George's? I need it.
That was the verse. That's the verse they don't sing anymore in the national anthem. Saving Malawians who buried their stepson. I'm sorry for the dark humor, guys, but
the new Blairite era, that's going to actually be the national anthem. Right?
Yeah, it's horrific. They never sing the "confound their neighbours' tricks," but all that bit. I just like this
rebellious Scots to cry. No, sorry.
Yeah, "I won't let the Tories chip away at our boldness and confidence." To me, you just sounded like RuPaul there. You go, girl. What's it about our boldness and confidence? Meaningless, sort of fierce girl stuff.
Does Keir Starmer think that people don't know who he is?
Right.
Because like anyone who's spent any amount of time watching Keir Starmer in an interview realizes that fierceness and boldness are not adjectives people would ascribe to him.
Yes,
right?
Our boldness, our confidence. My father was a tool maker. All right, mate. He starts.
Does he bring that up?
No, but he starts. But he starts by claiming to be working class in the first line. And he kind of like,
as you say, Sir Keir Starmer.
Yeah, and you're not anyway. But whatever. But so yes, he's suddenly talking about British. He sounds like RuPaul. Then he says the cross of St. George belongs to every person who loves the country and seeks to make it better, a symbol of pride, belonging, and inclusion. What are you talking about? What's the inclusion?
It's the crusading flag, mate. It's for killing Saracens. I don't know what you mean inclusion.
What does it include?
It's literally exclusive.
It's exclusive, unless you're English.
It's the flag of the English.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Christian cross.
I know. I wonder if this is why he's fudging it with Britain, because the British flag is somewhat inclusive. It includes various nations. And it's, as you say, it's a kind of imperial project, whatever we're going to call it.
Yeah.
But the English flag, it's just the English.
Yeah.
It's the most exclusive thing you've got, mate. That's kind of what a lot of flags are.
Notice what he's trying to do here. He's trying to say, look, to be English is to be a progressive. To be English is to be woke. It is to be a lefty. It is to be a Blairite. It is to be on the left-wing train. Because this, we'll cover this again in a minute, it's an identity that is a strong identity that is not part of their group. And I can see that it's widely held. Lots of people actually resonate with this. It's like, hang on, I am English, and that's important to me. And they're like, oh, yeah, that is important to you. It's a very inclusive thing, isn't it, fellow progressives? It's like, no, it's not actually. It's super exclusive. And actually, England's a really far-right country, which is why whenever there's a small gathering of English people anywhere on earth, you're like, oh my God, far-right.
Yeah, well, maybe they're right. But yeah,
no, they are right, to be honest.
anyway, so he says it's about inclusion. Then he says, as you can see, then he says, and respect for each other as fellow British citizens. So he's gone with the wrong flag again. That's the blue one, mate. Like he seems confused. I mean,
yes, respect.
yeah,
The respect that the Scots and the English show to one another, and the English and the Welsh show to one another, and the Irish and the English. Respect is the word that's on everyone's minds there, isn't it? Respect.
yeah. And then there's another.
We asked Bo.
Yeah. Should we ask Dank? Like, should we ask any? Just sorry, go on.
No, we're nearly at the end, but then he goes, a country with a proud national identity, confident on the world stage and sure of its future. I mean, those are all false. What is that national identity? I mean, this guy can't even decide if it's England or Britain. Then you say
It's
confident on the world.
inclusivity.
Right.
That's what it is.
Then does anyone feel, as you said, confident on the world stage? And is anyone here sure of Britain's future? Unless you say you're sure it's going to keep getting worse.
Yeah. I was going to say that. Yeah, I am actually quite sure that the future is more decline.
Maybe that's what he means. We're sure we're going down, but at least we know. Like
We're confident in the decline.
Yeah. So there you go.
But that's just the thing. That's what he's offering, right? We've had managed decline, well, for the last 50, 60 years, right? And Keir Starmer's like, I'll be a continuity candidate of managed decline. It's just that simple. He knows it. We know it. Everyone knows it. Things aren't going to get better under Keir Starmer.
How the hell is he 40% in the polls?
Because the Conservatives literally look at the English working class and go, ew, scum.
Every other candidate is also like, I would also do managed decline.
Yes. Just apparently faster.
Yeah. I know, it's so transparent. And by the way, some people have figured this out. Anyway, he ends by saying we'll always put the country first, but you're like, well, is it Britain or England? Because you started with England and now you're talking about Britain. But if we are talking about Britain, because he seems to want to fudge it and make it about Britain, let's just remember that Labour MPs didn't even want to hand out leaflets with the flag on, and this was less than a month ago. So let's just be very clear. This was 30th of March, updated 12th of April. Labour MPs warned that campaigners refused to use election leaflets carrying the Union flag, the naughty flag of badness.
But look at what they're saying. It's associated with the National Front.
Yes.
It's like it's the flag of the United Kingdom.
When was that? Like 50 years ago? I mean, I know. I mean, even if you went with that.
Who the hell are the National Front?
I know, no one thinks about them. I mean, there's one guy from them in Hope Not Hate, but other than that, no one really thinks about them. I mean, this is extraordinary. This was less than a month ago. People say, look, we can't give these things out. We don't want to be associated with them. It's not clear that it's Labour. People are complaining about them on the doorstep.
Campaigning thing, isn't it? We don't want to be associated with Britain. We hate it. We'd like it to be destroyed.
Yeah.
No. But it's not sure that it's associated with Labour. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. If there were red flags with a hammer and sickle, and everyone like, oh, it's a Labour leaflet, right? Yeah. But no, a British flag, people are like, well, who's this? Like, no, they're absolutely right.
Is this the National Front? Are they back?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the National Front. Yeah,
exciting.
Exactly.
Some feel the plastering of British flags on campaign materials is over the top, amid reports that street teams are uncomfortable handing out the pamphlets for fear they associate with groups such as the National Front or the country of Britain.
Yeah, hello, we'd like to be the government of Britain. Oh, okay.
Ooh, bit flaggy, mate.
Yeah. Just.
I know. So there you go. There's your patriotic Labour Party. And so another fun fact on this from Michael Deacon in Telegraph, who he's seen through this. He says Labour patriotic, pull the other one, Sir Keir. Not quite convinced. And one reason he cites is, let me just find it here, is that he says Sir Keir's claim is patently untrue. Indeed, a poll published yesterday suggested that a significant proportion of Labour supporters, 1 in 8, believe that the St. George flag is racist. Why is their leader just written a long racist article in the Telegraph?
Well, he's trying to, because the issue is the St. George's flag is a parochial flag, right? It belongs to an ethnic group. And in a way, that is kind of what they mean when they say racist, as in it is of a race, right? That's what they mean when they say racist. And like every other national flag of an ethnic group is the same. The British flag is different because it's a civic flag, right? It's not any particular ethnic group it belongs to, and therefore, makes sense.
It's weak.
Sorry?
Weak.
Well,
they've made it weak.
Yeah, they have. But the point is, there is a difference in the sort of sentiment that underpins it. And that's why Keir Starmer wrote that thing going, oh, no, the English flag means it's propositional. It just means inclusivity and diversity. It's like, no, it doesn't, actually. It belongs to the English as an ethnic group, and you can go and do one. Yeah.
And then Deacon says it's relevant anyway because the election outcome's already settled. But then he also adds, and the third reason Starmer shouldn't do this probably, he says, which is that Sir Keir's plan is terribly short-termist. Declaring that your party is patriotic may please a few voters today. It's a surefire way to put off the next generation because many members of Gen Z believe that patriotism maybe we should say Gen Z and be patriots. Or at least British patriotism is not just uncool, but actively shameful. On Sunday, a national newspaper ran an eye-opening article written by an anonymous teacher who works at an unnamed academy in the south of England. According to the teacher, today's teenagers openly loathe this country. The other day, he or she wrote, I asked a class of 13-year-olds to raise their hands if they hated Britain. 30 hands shot up with immediate, absolute certainty.
2/3 of teachers vote Labour.
There you go.
This is a bit of a weird one that you're there being like, yes, this country we've built is full of people who we brainwash as children to hate the country, but now we're going to campaign on loving the country.
Remember, diversity built Britain, and all these teenagers hate Britain. I guess they're racist too.
Good point.
You know how teenagers just grow up hating where they
I know.
Yep.
And since our history is full of basically people, immigrants from all around the world since very early, and since, Queen Margaret was a person of color and all this, why do they not celebrate our history and love it? This is a contradiction. I mean, Toby, to be fair, has pointed this out. There's always this contradiction. They try and rewrite the past that it was always diverse and gay and trans, but they also hate the past and want to overturn our history. It's like, which one is it, guys? You've actually got to pick one of those.
Yeah.
See what I mean? You've got to pick between rewriting or hating the past. But yeah, this was just a good point. I mean, it was quite disturbing, the hands all shooting up, knowing they hate the country, but, not really why. Why do we hate the country? Orwell talked about it, the unique hatred the English have and British have for themselves. It's very strange.
But this is different. This is them being polluted by leftist narratives surrounding Britain, the empire, racism, exclusion, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So trying to switch that narrative out underneath the flag is what they're trying to do. It's like a shell game at the moment. But the thing is, they've polluted the teenagers against the concept of Britain or England. So it's just like, okay, well done.
Yeah, I suppose following this, you imagine Starmer is probably trying to he thinks he's got the young people on board anyway, and he's trying to win a few Tory votes or something with the flag stuff or the red wall. But it points out, as you say, the teacher was not surprised. At previous school, he or she had found that pupils were imbued with a sense that their country is particularly bad. This antipathy, the teacher believes, is fostered by a modern curriculum packed with hand-wringing about Western imperialism and institutional racism and designed to open minds to the
leftist
evils of
BS.
Western
Just leftist BS.
Leftist BS could have.
See, my son, they actually recognized St. George's Day in my son's school yesterday. And so they were talking about St. George slaying the dragon and stuff. And the teacher was like, yeah, but the dragon wasn't real. He didn't do it. And my son was like, is that true? I was like, no, he did do it. That's why you don't see any dragons around, son.
He did do it. And he was French and he favored the customs union. He was against, the dragon I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, the dragon was
The dragon favored free movement. These are some things I've been saying. You haven't read the deep law.
Hate speech laws, yeah.
I've been reading the text and this is what it tells me. So there you go. So Michael Deacon, ironically pointing out, he says Sir Keir should be planning for the long term by making clear that he and his colleagues despise the country with every fibre of their being, because that'll be the only way to win Gen Z's votes. So yeah, it's a
also
good point.
True. You could just finally tell them the truth, Keir. They're like, yeah, we do actually hate this country because it's a white supremacist, racist, imperialist project filled with mostly English thugs, actually. And Gen Z would be like, brilliant, Labour.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird he's not doing that, but he's trying to do both. It's the impossible balancing act. So there you go. That's your patriot, Keir Starmer. And we probably don't need my bonus topic. I think that's covered it. And we're going to stick, I think, with this kind of theme. So that's my little bit there.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as Common Sense Crusade with Calvin Robinson. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.